Welcome to Nepal. The Himalayan range has shaped nearly the entire history and culture of this country. Located between the Tibetan Plateau and the plains of India, Nepal has for thousands of years been a crossroads of major trade routes, religions, and cultures in the region. It was on this land that Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, was born in the 6th century BCE, laying the foundation for one of the most influential philosophies in human history. The mountainous terrain covers most of the country, making life here closely connected to a harsh natural environment. For this reason, tourism in Nepal is deeply tied to journeys of exploration on foot. And that journey often begins at the place that has become the ultimate symbol of the entire Himalayan range. Everest. Discovered in 1852 through British surveys, Everest has become one of the most famous destinations in the history of exploration. Standing at 8,848 meters, it is the highest mountain on Earth. But more than that, it represents both extreme harshness and the human desire to conquer. Its extraordinary altitude creates an extremely hostile environment where thin air and low atmospheric pressure make breathing a massive challenge. Because of this, Everest is not only a destination for courageous climbers, but also a place that clearly reveals the confrontation between humans and nature. The harsh climate of Everest creates a unique landscape. Snow and ice cover the region almost all year round, with massive rocks and snow-covered peaks interwoven among limestone mountain ranges. The ecosystem here mainly consists of wildlife such as mountain dogs, snow bears, and several species of birds. Yet this harshness has also shaped distinctive forms of tourism, such as mountaineering expeditions and long trekking tours, where participants not only conquer nature, but also embark on a journey of self-challenge. Everest is closely connected with the Sherpa people who live near the region. They have made mountain climbing possible through their survival skills and professional guiding expertise. Sherpa culture, along with their prayer rituals and reverence for nature, has made Everest not only a sporting destination, but also a place deeply marked by culture and spirituality. With such harshness, it is not surprising that Everest also inspires journeys toward other regions, where the combination of nature and culture creates unique, challenging, and captivating values. Annapurna Circuit. One of the most famous trekking routes in the world, located in central Nepal, attracting adventure lovers with its magnificent natural scenery. First placed on the exploration map in the 1970s, The Annapurna Circuit quickly became a must-visit destination for those who love exploration. This route is special because of its remarkable diversity of landscapes and climates. Although it is only about 160 kilometers long, it takes travelers from tropical valleys through dense forests to high mountain passes where the air becomes thin and freezing cold. This transformation occurs not only across space, but also with elevation, making the Annapurna journey not just geographical, but also experiential. The scenery along the Annapurna Circuit offers striking beauty, from snow-covered peaks such as Annapurna, one at 8,091 meters, to rice fields and traditional villages scattered throughout the valleys. The climate changes dramatically as travelers move through different elevations, from hot lowlands to cold high plateaus. The ecosystem also changes accordingly, with animals such as monkeys, black bears, and bird species typical of the Himalayan mountains. This biodiversity makes trekking the Annapurna Circuit not only an adventure, but also a lesson about survival and adaptation in nature. The Annapurna Circuit is also closely linked with the cultures of the Sherpa and Thakali people. Villages along the trail are home to ethnic communities with traditional houses and spiritual rituals honoring local deities. The warm hospitality of the people here makes the journey more intimate and meaningful. From prayer ceremonies in Buddhist monasteries to local customs, the Annapurna Circuit offers not only natural beauty, but also a rich cultural experience full of identity. As an extension of the Himalayan exploration journey, the next destination leads travelers to other sacred places where culture and nature continue to create unique attractions. Boudhanath Stupa. With its massive stupa structure located at the center of a circular urban space, Boudhanath forms one of the most important Tibetan Buddhist centers in the world. The stupa was built around the 14th century after an earthquake destroyed the previous structure. It lies along an ancient trade route between Tibet and India. This strategic location made it not only a pilgrimage site, but also a place of cultural exchange for centuries. The architectural structure of Boudhanath clearly reflects Buddhist philosophy. The white dome symbolizes the universe, while the stepped tower above represents the path toward enlightenment. The four pairs of Buddha eyes facing the four main directions carry spiritual meaning while also creating a distinctive visual symbol, making it one of Nepal's most recognizable landmarks. This central architecture shapes the entire surrounding space. Streets, shops, monasteries, and tea houses all revolve around the stupa like orbiting circles. From this emerges a very unique rhythm of life. Every day, thousands of pilgrims walk clockwise around the stupa, spinning prayer wheels while softly chanting mantras. If you had the chance to come here, would you want to try this experience? After 1959, when many Tibetan communities migrated to Nepal, this area became the largest Tibetan cultural center outside Tibet. Monasteries, Buddhist schools, and ritual shops make the area resemble a small city of faith. The visitor experiences here is not simply about visiting a monument, but about entering a living cultural circle, hearing temple bells echo in the afternoon, smelling yak butter lamps burning in offerings, and observing the quiet yet persistent rhythm of the pilgrim community. From this spiritual space centered around a symbolic structure, the journey continues to another place where religion is not only personal belief, but also connected with some of the most ancient rituals of an entire civilization. Pashupatinath Temple. As one of the most important centers dedicated to the god Shiva in Hinduism, Pashupatinath Temple is also one of the most sacred cremation sites in South Asia. The main temple was built in the 17th century on the foundation of much older religious structures, and the entire complex developed along both banks of the Bagmati River. A river considered sacred because it eventually flows into the Ganges. This relationship between temple and river defines the spiritual role of the site. The architecture of Pashupatinath follows the traditional Nepali pagoda style, with layered roofs covered in gilded copper, intricately carved wooden pillars, and silver doors decorated with images of Shiva. However, the true value of this place lies not only in its architecture, but also in how the space is organized around cremation ghats, stone steps leading down to the river where farewell rituals for the deceased take place every day. In Hindu belief, cremation beside a sacred river is thought to free the soul from the cycle of rebirth, which is why this place has become the final destination for many devotees from across Nepal and India. This creates a very unique experience. Visitors are not simply entering an ancient temple complex, but witnessing a deeply real part of religious life. Sadhu ascetics, dressed in saffron robes meditating beneath trees, temple bells ringing every afternoon, and silent funeral processions accompanied by drifting incense smoke. Religion here is not separated from daily life, but flows continuously between life, death, and rebirth. But if the Bagmati River represents endings and transformation, stepping away from this sacred space reveals a completely different landscape. where water is no longer tied to ritual, but becomes the center of a peaceful lifestyle and serene scenery. Pokhara and Phewa Lake. Pokhara lies directly beneath the Annapurna range, where peaks higher than 8,000 meters seem to rise almost straight out of low valleys. This enormous difference in elevation creates one of the rare landscapes in the world. From the surface of Phewa Lake, only about 800 meters above sea level, visitors can look directly up to snow-covered mountains nearly 10 times higher. This unique geography forms the core of the region's scenic and tourism value. Pokhara was originally a small town on an ancient trade route linking India with Mustang and Tibet. However, in the 1960s, when explorers and trekking communities began discovering the Annapurna region, it quickly became the gateway for Himalayan journeys. Most major trekking routes in the region start here, turning Pokhara into a logistical center for climbers and international travelers. Within this landscape, Phewa Lake acts as the heart of the city. The wide and tranquil lake clearly reflects the Annapurna range, especially Machapuchare, the sacred fishtail mountain. The calm surface of the lake creates a rare atmosphere in the Himalayas. Instead of the harsh feeling of high mountains, the place offers relaxation with wooden boats drifting slowly across the water, lakeside cafes, and tree-shaded walking paths. Thanks to the combination of towering mountains and peaceful water, Pokhara offers a travel experience very different from other places in Nepal. During the day, visitors can paraglide from the slopes of Sarangkot to admire the valley panorama. In the evening, they can paddle across the lake while the sun sets behind snow-covered peaks. The journey then moves deeper into the spiritual history of this land, to a place where the story does not begin with geography or trade, but with the birth of one of the most influential figures in human history. Lumbini. Lumbini is believed to be the birthplace of Siddhartha Gautama around the 6th century BCE. This event made Lumbini one of the 4 most important pilgrimage sites in Buddhism. Its historical significance was clearly confirmed in 249 BCE, when Emperor Ashoka of India visited the site and erected a stone pillar to mark the Buddha's birthplace. A pillar that still stands today. This historical meaning shapes the entire space of Lumbini. Instead of developing into a dense city, the central area is preserved as a vast sacred garden where religious structures are scattered across a quiet landscape. At the center stands Maya Devi Temple, built around the archaeological site believed to be the exact place where the Buddha was born. Nearby lies the sacred Puskarini Pond, where Queen Maya is believed to have bathed before giving birth. Over time, the global influence of Buddhism has turned Lumbini into a unique international cultural project. Since the 20th century, many Buddhist countries such as Thailand, Japan, Myanmar, South Korea, and Germany have built their own monasteries here. This creates a fascinating landscape. Within the same peaceful area, visitors can see many different architectural styles of Buddhism, from Thai golden temples to minimalist modern monasteries. From the birthplace of a philosophy that spread across Asia, the journey gradually returns to the high mountains, where human life continues to be shaped by one of the harshest and most magnificent environments on Earth. Khumbu Valley. Deep within the Himalayas, this valley lies at an average elevation of 3,000 to more than 4,000 meters, surrounded by giant peaks such as Everest, Lhotse, and Ama Dablam. Its altitude and steep terrain create a harsh environment, long winters, limited farmland, and thin air. Yet these conditions have shaped one of the most unique mountain communities in the Himalayas. The Sherpa people settled in this valley thanks to their remarkable ability to adapt to high-altitude environments. Over generations, they developed movement, climbing, and survival skills that few communities in the world possess. This ability made them indispensable guides in the history of Himalayan mountaineering, especially since the early 20th century when Western expeditions began seeking routes to the world's highest peaks. The terrain of Khumbu completely shapes how tourism takes place here. There are no continuous roads through the valley. Most travel still relies on ancient trails along mountain slopes and suspension bridges crossing glacial rivers. Villages such as Namche Bazaar and Tengboche developed along these routes, serving both as rest stops for climbers and small trade centers in the high mountains. The ecosystem also changes dramatically with altitude. Lower areas contain pine forests and Himalayan rhododendrons, while higher regions gradually transform into barren rock and snowfields. Even in this harsh environment, herds of yaks slowly move along mountain slopes, animals that have become essential to Sherpa life. Among these mountains are places where the spiritual life of the community is expressed most clearly, not on the peaks, but in ancient monasteries quietly resting among clouds and stone. Tengboche Monastery. Located within the Himalayas, Tengboche Monastery is a place where Buddhist belief merges directly with the high mountain environment. The monastery stands at an elevation of about 3,867 meters on a small plateau facing famous peaks such as Everest, Lhotse, and Ama de Blum. This location makes Tengboche not only a religious center, but also a link between Sherpa spiritual life and the surrounding majestic landscape. The monastery was founded by Lama Gulu, a monk with great influence in the Sherpa community. However, Tengboche was destroyed by an earthquake in 1934 and later burned down in a fire in 1989. Each time, the monastery was rebuilt by the local community together with international Buddhist organizations. This repeated reconstruction has made Tengboche not just an architectural structure, but a symbol of unity among high mountain communities. The architecture follows the traditional Tibetan Buddhist style, with a large main hall and striking red and gold roofs standing out against pine forests and snowy mountains behind it. Inside are complex murals depicting bodhisattvas, protective deities, and stories from Buddhist teachings. Nepal is a country where geography creates culture. The highest mountains in the world shaped Sherpa communities adapted to extreme altitude. Ancient trade routes created pilgrimage cities, and historical events transformed a small land into a spiritual center for millions of people. Looking at this entire journey, we do not only see beautiful landscapes, but also the way humans have lived alongside nature, belief, and history for thousands of years. If you enjoy journeys that are not only beautiful, but also help you understand the world more deeply, please like and subscribe so we can continue exploring fascinating places across this planet together.